What if I told you that John Cena once walked into his own car dealership, disguised as just another customer, and uncovered a heartbreaking truth hidden in plain sight? Automobile broken heart. He wasn't there to buy fame or attention. He was there to listen, to see, to discover what had gone wrong in the very place he built with his own hands. Backhand index pointing right, a struggling elderly couple. Backhand index pointing right, a ruthless manager who saw weakness as opportunity. Backhand index pointing right, and a single moment that changed everything. Stay with us, because what John Cena does next is more than just business. It's about justice, dignity, and hope. But before we begin backhand index pointing down, tell us in the comments, where are you watching this from? Globe showing Europe, Africa. And don't forget, if this story moves you, like thumbs up the video, subscribe bell to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss more powerful stories like this. John Cena walked into his own dealership to buy a car, but stopped cold when he overheard two customers behind him. The morning sun stretched across the long rows of cars at Western Road Motors, painting golden streaks across polished hoods like they'd been brushed with liquid light. Inside the expansive glass showroom, salesmen moved with shiny shoes and stiff smiles. Their suits were crisp, their handshakes sharp, and every sentence carried a hidden price tag tucked carefully between the lines. This dealership wasn't powered by horsepower. It thrived on persuasion, on closing ratios, and on pushing extended warranties. And today, they were about to cross paths with someone who knew the system better than anyone else, though none of them realized it yet. He entered without fanfare, blending in with the slow trickle of morning customers. His jeans were worn, a plain white t-shirt sat under a button-up left slightly uneven, his steps slow, like a man in no rush to be noticed. One of the younger salesmen barely looked up, muttering under his breath. Another browser. Not worth the time. But if he'd taken a closer look, he might have noticed something different in the man's eyes. Not the glazed stare of someone lost in price tags and spec sheets, but the calm, watchful focus of someone taking notes on everything. That man was John Cena. Not the actor, not the celebrity on a goodwill tour, just John Cena. Quiet, steady, and determined to see for himself what had gone wrong with the business he had built years ago. Back when Western Road Motors was just a tiny local lot, John Cena had started with a borrowed desk, 2 cars, and a simple promise. Fair prices. Honest work. The dealership grew, expanding into new towns and counties. John Cena believed he'd held onto that promise. But lately, reports told a different story. Too many customer complaints swept under the rug. Trade-ins offered far below value. Hidden fees slid into contracts. Managers treating people's struggles not as responsibility, but as opportunity. John Cena read it all, every glowing review and every bitter online rant. On spreadsheets, the numbers looked fine. But in his gut, he knew something was broken. That's why he was here, undercover. Not to scare anyone. Not to stage a dramatic scene. But to listen, to watch, to remember what this place was supposed to stand for. He strolled past a row of SUVs, pausing at a silver sedan. His hand brushed across its hood, and nostalgia flickered in his expression. Finally, a salesman noticed him. Mid-30s, slick hair, eager grin. "Morning, sir. Looking for something reliable?" John Cena gave a polite smile. "Yeah, something simple. Maybe pre-owned. I don't need anything fancy." The salesman lit up. "Perfect. We've got some excellent certified pre-owned options. Follow me, I'll show you our top picks." John Cena followed, nodding just enough to keep the salesman talking. Gas mileage, financing specials, end-of-month offers. But his focus wasn't on the words. He was watching. The nervous glances exchanged between employees. Customer at a desk, confused by a document. A manager behind glass giving a subtle shake of the head to a junior rep. Something's wrong, John Cena thought. And then he heard it. A voice. A woman's voice, trembling, desperate. Please, isn't there anything else you can do? John Cena turned slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse. At the trade-in counter stood an older couple. The man tall but stooped with age, silver hair neatly combed back. The woman gripped his hand so tightly her knuckles were white. Her voice cracked as she spoke again. It's not just a car, it's all we have left. Just outside the showroom windows sat their car, a navy blue sedan. Older, modest, but well cared for. Its fading paint carried the marks of time, not neglect. Behind the trade-in desk stood a man in a dark tailored suit, sharp eyes, lips pressed thin. His name tag read, Doug Blake, General Manager. His voice was polished, smoother than silk, but colder than steel. Ma'am, I realize this is emotional, Doug said, though his tone proved otherwise. But the market is what it is. I'm already offering more than it's technically worth. John Cena stepped closer, his heartbeat steady but heavy. The woman's hand trembled as she wiped her tears. Our son, this was his car. He died last year. He was a firefighter. Her voice broke, uneven. We just couldn't let it go. But we can't keep affording the repairs anymore. Doug sighed impatiently, pulling out paperwork. Sentimental value doesn't raise resale. $2,000 is a strong offer. You won't get better anywhere else. John Cena froze, not at the number, but at the dismissal in Doug's tone. He hadn't even blinked. The older man finally spoke, his jaw tight. It's the last thing we have of him. The woman clutched his arm tighter, knuckles pale. Doug checked his watch and repeated coldly, Offer stands. Take it or leave it. John Cena inhaled slowly, then stepped forward, his voice calm, almost gentle. Excuse me, he said. I couldn't help overhearing. Doug looked up, irritation flashing. This is a private discussion, sir. John Cena gave a soft smile. I understand, but I'm actually in the market for a car. And that one out front, the navy sedan, caught my attention. The couple blinked in surprise. Doug frowned. It's not for sale. It's a trade-in. John Cena tilted his head. How much are you offering them? $2,000. Doug's tone hardened. John Cena nodded calmly. I'll give them $5,000. The room fell silent. The woman gasped. Oh no, we couldn't. John Cena raised a hand gently. Let's talk outside. Away from all this. The late morning air was warm, the breeze just strong enough to carry away the tension that had filled the showroom. John Cena walked ahead, hands in his pockets, posture steady but purposeful. The couple followed, still dazed, as if this moment might vanish at any second. You don't have to sell me anything, John Cena said softly. But I'd like to hear more about the car. And about him. The older man stared at the ground, his voice low. Paul, he whispered. Our son. He was a firefighter, like his grandfather. Last fall, during a warehouse fire, he got a child out, but never made it back. He saved the boy, but... The words trailed off, unfinished. The woman's strength carried the rest. He bought that car with his first bonus. Took care of it better than anything else he owned. We kept it alive as long as we could. Even put his badge number on the license plate frame. But Frank's knees are gone now, and I can't drive it either. Not with the hospital bills piling up. John Cena listened quietly, his face steady but his eyes filled with weight. He wasn't looking at a trade-in anymore. He was looking at a memorial, a legacy parked between two price tags. Finally he spoke. I don't want it for resale, John Cena said firmly. I'll restore it. Keep it in his memory. You don't owe me a thing. The older man's brows furrowed. You're serious? John Cena pulled a checkbook from his pocket and began writing with practiced calm. Dead serious. I'm not buying a car. I'm honoring a life. The woman's hands trembled as he tore the slip free. This isn't real, she whispered. It is, John Cena replied, placing it in their hands. And I hope one day you'll come see it again, shining like new. At that moment, the glass doors slammed open. Doug Blake stormed out, steps quick and heavy, frustration burning in his face. You can't just do that, he barked. This is dealership property, you're interfering with a transaction. John Cena didn't flinch. He turned slowly, the check still in his hand. We'll talk, he said evenly. But not here. Not like this. Doug's glare shifted between the check, the couple, and John Cena. I don't know who you think you are. You'll find out, John Cena answered softly, but with iron in his voice. The older man reached out, his hand trembling as he took the check. His voice cracked. I don't know how to thank you. John Cena gave a faint smile. You just did. Drive it home. While it still carries his scent. The couple stepped away slowly, their eyes wet but lighter, relief shining after a storm that had gone on too long. Back inside the dealership, the air was different. The same salespeople who had pretended not to notice earlier now stood quiet, their eyes following John Cena as he walked steadily toward the central desk. Doug trailed behind, his jaw tight, irritation written all over his face. John Cena turned to face him directly. What you pulled out there, that wasn't negotiation, he said calmly. That was manipulation. You saw pain and instead of helping, you tried to squeeze it. Doug crossed his arms, standing stiff. I gave them market value. John Cena raised a brow. Did you? Or did you just assume they wouldn't argue because they looked desperate? Doug's mouth opened, but no words came. His eyes darted nervously toward the other employees, who were now leaning closer, pretending to shuffle papers while listening. I've seen enough, John Cena said flatly. He reached into his pocket and slid a simple silver card across the desk. John Cena, founder, Western Road Motors. Doug's face went pale. What? I'm the man who built this place, John Cena replied evenly. And I'm the one who just watched you drag it in the wrong direction. It took only seconds for the room to crack. One junior salesman stifled a laugh. Another dropped his pen. For the first time that day, Doug's expression faltered. John Cena lifted his voice, just enough to reach the entire floor without shouting. How many of you have been told to push trade-ins as low as possible? No one answered, but several eyes dropped to the ground. How many of you have seen customers leave here feeling worse than when they walked in? Silence. Then, finally, a voice spoke. I have. Every head turned. It was Mason, the youngest salesman on the team, barely through training, his name tag hanging crooked on his chest. It happens all the time, Mason said quietly, but with resolve. We're pushed to upsell, to tack on fees, especially to older customers who don't ask questions. Doug spun on him, rage flashing. Mason, you're on thin ice. No, John Cena cut in firmly. For the first time, he's standing on solid ground. Doug's mouth snapped shut. His eyes burned with resentment, but he said nothing. John Cena turned to the entire team, his tone steady and final. Tomorrow, everything changes. But tonight we clean house. That night, long after the showroom emptied, John Cena sat alone in the back office. The overhead lights buzzed softly as he opened the first file from a thick stack of complaints. The words jumped out, written in capital letters, dripping with anger and heartbreak. I trusted this place. I trusted your name. And I left feeling like a fool. And it wasn't the only one. Dozens of pages, stapled with receipts, scribbled notes, and red ink corrections, all carrying the same message. You forgot who you were. John Cena exhaled slowly, the weight heavy but resolute. This wasn't about firing one bad manager. This was about rebuilding trust, one story, one person at a time. Before leaving, he typed a short message to every staff member. Mandatory staff meeting, 8 a.m. Come early. Come honest. The next morning at 8 o'clock sharp, the staff lounge filled with uncertainty. Some employees stood with coffee cups in their hands, whispering in corners. Others kept their eyes down, waiting, nervous about what was coming. A few looked like they were ready to walk out if things went sideways. At exactly 8 o'clock, John Cena walked in. No fanfare. No podium. Just rolled up sleeves and steady eyes. He leaned against the edge of the conference table and began. I know what some of you are thinking, John Cena said, his voice calm but strong. You've been through change before. You've heard promises before. But this isn't the same. The room was still. No phones buzzing, no notes being scribbled, just eyes fixed on him. This place used to mean something, John Cena continued. We didn't just sell cars. We helped people get to their kids' first soccer games. Their mom's doctor appointments. Their first jobs. Somewhere along the way, though, we stopped seeing them as people. We started seeing them as numbers. From the back, Mason shifted in his chair, nodding slightly. So here's the deal, John Cena said firmly. We're not just changing policies. We're changing values. Effective immediately, no more hidden fees. No more forced add-ons. No more pushing people into deals they don't understand. And if that means we sell fewer cars this month, that's fine. Because next month, people will come back, not because we tricked them, but because we treated them right. A murmur of surprise moved through the room. One of the older salesmen, Tim, raised his hand. His voice was low, steady. Sir, what if we're not sure how to undo what we've been taught? John Cena nodded. That's fair. Doug trained you to survive, not to serve. So we're going to retrain from scratch. You'll be paid the same, maybe more. But from now on, your bonuses come from one thing only, customer satisfaction. You help someone leave with confidence, you win. Not just commission. Respect. Tim exhaled slowly, like he'd just let go of a weight he didn't realize he'd been carrying. By lunchtime, the retraining had already begun. New scripts. New walkthroughs of paperwork. A real-time hotline for any rep stuck with a tough customer question. And John Cena wasn't sitting in his office overseeing it. He was on the floor, answering phones, pulling up old records, even calling past customers himself. One by one he reached out. Hi, this is John Cena from Western Road Motors. Yes, that John Cena. No, I'm not calling about a movie, I'm calling about your car. Some laughed. Some hung up. But a few listened. And those were the ones who mattered. The very next morning, a woman named Rebecca Sanders walked into the showroom. She held a manila folder tight to her chest, like evidence in a courtroom. She didn't look like someone ready for a fight, but her eyes carried the weight of someone tired of losing. Chris, now working closely with John Cena, greeted her and led her to the newly designated customer review room, a quiet space, no glass walls, no pressure. Just answers. John Cena personally reviewed her contract. He circled suspicious charges one by one. An extended warranty she never agreed to. An inflated financing rate. Paint protection fee, for a color her car didn't even come in. He looked up. Rebecca, you were overcharged by almost $3,000. Her eyes widened. So, what does that mean? It means, John Cena said, you're getting it back. The room went silent. Even Chris froze, his hands hovering above the keyboard. Rebecca's eyes filled, but the tears didn't fall. You're serious? John Cena nodded. I can't undo how you were treated. but I can fix this part." A check was written on the spot. And as Rebecca walked out, something heavier than money left with her. The weight of being ignored, of being treated like a fool. She wasn't smiling yet, but her shoulders had softened. Nearby customers had overheard. One leaned over to another and whispered, "Did you hear that? He actually gave her the money back." Another murmured, "Maybe this place really is different now." That same afternoon, 3 more walk-ins mentioned Rebecca by name. Word was spreading. By the next morning, the phones at Western Road Motors wouldn't stop ringing. But not all the calls were good. Some customers who had agreed to deals suddenly backed out. Sales reps reported strange calls from competing dealerships, offering impossible prices. And every time, the name was the same, Whitman Motors. Chris burst into John Cena's office, holding a folder. "Sir, Whitman just offered one of our leads the same SUV for $2,000 less." John Cena frowned. "That's not possible. We're already at minimum margin." "That's what I told them," Chris replied, his voice tight. "But Whitman's calling customers directly, undercutting us. Promising faster delivery, free maintenance, even gift cards." John Cena stood, pacing slowly. "And the fine print?" Chris smirked grimly. "Not mentioned. My guess, they'll bury customers in fees once they're sitting in the chair." It was Dale Whitman's game. And load. At the front desk, Tim was speaking with a middle-aged couple, his tone tense. John Cena approached just in time to hear the husband say, "We really want to go with you folks. But Whitman called and gave us the same model for less. And with our daughter's college coming up." John Cena smiled gently. "Mind if I ask, did they mention their doc fee? Their mandatory maintenance plan? Or that their financing runs through a third party with prepayment penalties?" The couple hesitated. "No," the wife admitted. "They just said the price would be honored until tomorrow." John Cena nodded. "That's their tactic. Pressure you to move fast. Sign now, regret later." Tim pulled up recent customer reviews on a tablet. These are from Whitman buyers just last month. Look at the differences between the promised prices and the final ones. The husband frowned, scrolling. "That's a lot of add-ons." "They call them protections," John Cena said. "But the only thing they're protecting is their bottom line." The couple exchanged a look, then nodded. "We'll stay," the husband said firmly. "Honesty's worth more than a gift card." As they signed the papers, Chris leaned toward John Cena and whispered, "That's 3 deals we've kept today." Words getting around. But Dale Whitman wasn't finished. By the end of the week, Whitman Motors launched an aggressive ad campaign. Flashy digital billboards blared, "Real deals." And no drama. Radio hosts promoted Whitman discount codes. And then, the dagger. An online article appeared, slick and shareable. Is Western Road Motors running a refund scam? It accused John Cena's dealership of cherry-picking cases, faking reviews, even forging refund records. No real evidence, but it spread like wildfire. By noon, phones were ringing nonstop. Customers demanded answers. Suppliers emailed, nervous. Even former staff weighed in online. Tim stepped into John Cena's office, his face grave. "I've been in this business 22 years. I've seen dirty games before, but this is next level." Chris followed, holding his tablet. "People are canceling appointments. Some think this is all just a publicity stunt." Through the window, John Cena watched a woman approach the showroom doors, pause, check her phone, then turn back toward her car. He knew this moment would come. He just hadn't expected it to feel this personal. "I think it's time we speak to them directly," John Cena said quietly. Tim blinked. "You mean a press release?" John Cena shook his head. "No. Not words on paper. Face to face. where they can see my eyes, hear my voice. The next morning, cameras lined the sidewalk outside Western Road Motors. Reporters gathered, customers lingered, neighbors stopped to watch. Some came for the truth. Others came for the drama. But John Cena hadn't stepped outside to entertain either. He came to answer. The sun rose behind him, casting a glow along the edge of his shoulders. His sleeves were rolled, collar open, posture calm but unshakable. "Good morning," John Cena began, his voice low but steady. "Some of you have heard the rumors that we're running a scam, that our refunds are just for show, that we're pretending to care because it looks better than silence." The crowd shifted. Microphones pushed forward. Cameras clicked. "I'm here to tell you, that's not true," John Cena continued. "But I'm not going to hand you a press release. I'm going to show you what truth looks like." He motioned toward the back of the crowd. Whispers rippled as a man stepped forward, tall, plain shirt, jeans, jaw set with purpose. In his hand was a thick folder. "My name is Carter Wells," he said, voice steady. "I worked at Whitman Motors for 6 years, until yesterday." He held the folder high. "These are internal documents, training notes, pricing guides, what they called profit boosters, fake fees, warranty tricks, financing schemes. The same tactics I was ordered to use every day." Gasps spread through the crowd. A reporter shouted, "Why bring this here?" Carter glanced at John Cena, then back at the cameras. "Because he didn't ask for it. I offered. I saw what he was doing here, and I couldn't stay quiet anymore." John Cena didn't grin or puff his chest. He simply nodded, extended his hand. Carter shook it. Reporters erupted with questions, voices overlapping. John Cena lifted a hand, calm but firm. "Let me be clear," he said. "Mistakes were made here. I've made mistakes. But we're not hiding anymore. We're not perfect, we're just trying to be better. Whitman says honesty isn't sustainable, that we're running a stunt. I disagree. And so do our customers." Behind him, Tim and Chris stepped forward, their voices steady. "Every one of us has seen what happens when trust is broken," Tim said. "Now we're building something different," Chris added. "Not just sales, a relationship." Flashbulbs popped. Reporters scribbled. But the real story wasn't what hit the evening news. The real story came later, in the inbox at Western Road Motors. Hundreds of messages poured in. From customers. From neighbors. Even from employees at other dealerships. Some shared how they'd been scammed by Whitman. Others asked if they could bring in their paperwork for review. Some wrote just one line. "Thank you for doing what we didn't think was possible." Business at Western Road Motors didn't slow, it exploded. Within 3 days, the lot was packed. The new customer review room stayed open past closing hours. People arrived with folders, contracts, and stories they had never shared before, because nobody had listened before. And John Cena was there every single day. Not as a distant boss giving orders, but as a steady presence, greeting customers, calling back those who had lost hope, even sitting beside veterans and families as they told their stories. But the harder John Cena worked, the harder Dale Whitman struck back. By Thursday afternoon, Tim rushed into the office, phone in hand. "Sir, you need to see this." On the screen was a breaking headline. "Whitman Motors accuses Western Road of systemic fraud, legal action pending." Chris followed in, tense. "They're filing a lawsuit. Trying to drown us in paperwork. Slow us down. Make us bleed out in court." John Cena studied the screen a moment longer, then spoke softly. "Let them." Chris blinked. "You're not worried?" "I'm always worried," John Cena admitted. "But fear won't make me dishonest. We stay the course." The following day, another blow arrived. But this time, it wasn't just paperwork. It was a person. The glass doors swung open, and in walked a woman whose very presence shifted the entire showroom. She wore a navy blazer, her stride precise, her posture commanding. Every head turned. Some whispered her name before she even spoke. Margaret Ellison. A retired city councilwoman. A longtime brand ambassador for Whitman Motors. A figure the entire town recognized from parades, charity events, even Whitman's own billboards. And now, she was standing in John Cena's dealership. "Mr. Cena," she said firmly, her voice calm but resolute. "I'm here because I was wrong." The room froze. John Cena stepped forward slowly. "You don't have to say that." "Yes, I do," Margaret replied. "I vouched for Dale Whitman. I told this entire town he was running an honest business. He fooled me, and I let him." Her jaw tightened, not with anger, but with responsibility. She lifted a folder in her hand. "This is everything. Emails, pricing changes, even a private message Dale sent me yesterday asking me to lie one more time. I'm done being quiet." John Cena took the folder gently, their hands brushing for a brief moment. That was enough. The truth didn't need to shout when it came from someone who had once stood at the center of the lie. Around the showroom, customers leaned closer to listen. Employees paused mid-keystroke. It wasn't just business anymore, it was legacy. And in that moment, the tide had turned. That night, long after the lights dimmed, John Cena sat in the back office with the folder by his side. He didn't need to open it again. Margaret's truth had already done its work. Tim knocked softly before stepping in. "You did good today," he said. John Cena gave a faint smile. "We did." Tim hesitated, then chuckled. "My daughter called earlier. She saw the press conference. She said she was proud of me. Said she wants to apply for one of the new assistant roles here." John Cena looked up, his smile widening just a little. "Then I guess the family business just got honest again." That weekend, Western Road Motors hosted something it hadn't seen in years, a community day. No sales quotas. No pressure. Just open doors. Free coffee. A local band playing outside. A mobile vet clinic parked nearby for families with pets. People came by the dozens. Some to browse. Some to talk. Many just to say thank you. At the center of it all stood John Cena, sleeves rolled, listening, laughing, shaking hands. Beside him, Carter Wells, the former Whitman employee turned whistleblower, was leading a free seminar on how to read car contracts without being cheated. He circled hidden terms, explained interest rate traps, and broke down fine print that had fooled countless customers. The crowd around him grew with every minute. John Cena stood back for a moment, arms folded, watching. His heart was full. This, he thought, this is what it was always supposed to feel like. Not just selling cars, but serving people. Later that evening, as the sun sank behind the hills and the crowd drifted home, John Cena walked the lot alone. The sky burned orange, shadows stretching between the vehicles. He stopped at a familiar sight, the Navy sedan. Paul's car. Clean, restored, gleaming under the fading light. Behind him came a soft voice. "We brought the picture frame," Ethel said gently, stepping forward with Frank. In her hands was a wooden frame. Inside it, a photograph of Paul in his firefighter's uniform, smiling proudly beside the car, one arm thrown casually across its roof. "We figured," Frank added, "if it's going to stay here, it should feel like home." John Cena accepted the frame carefully. "Thank you. I'll make sure it's displayed with care." Ethel's smile was tender, her voice firm. "Display it with pride." As the evening air cooled, the three of them stood together, bound not by business, but by choice. By a refusal to stay silent. By the belief that dignity has value, even in places once ruled by profit. Finally, John Cena turned toward the camera crew that had respectfully kept their distance throughout the day. "I know this isn't the kind of story that usually goes viral," he said with a faint smile. But if you believe it matters that we do right by each other, then help us keep telling stories like this. Share it. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more people putting decency before dollars. He glanced one last time at the framed photo in his hands. Because sometimes what we're really selling is hope. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. Share it with someone who still believes integrity matters. And if you want to see more stories where good people stand up, subscribe to the channel and join us. Because truth deserves more than a headline, it deserves a home.